Welcome, Fantas, to the season finale of Kenan and Kel Season 1. And this new episode of Kenan and Kel with Adam and Aaron. My name is Adam.
I'm Aaron.
And episode 14 of Kenan and Kel is called, what is it?
Twizzles Fizzles.
Yes. Bye-bye, Twizzles.
Twizzles is a new character to the show, but one that we're going to get to know very well by the end of this hour.
Yes. As a very brief cameo in this episode. Yeah, we were saying before the show started that this is a real return to form, right?
Return to form is a good way to put it. It's a good way to wrap up season 1 because it takes the best of Kenan and Kel and it kind of sets us up for next season because it's actually funny. It's not just like a forced humor from Kenan and Kel lovers.
It's also written by the dream team of Dan Schneider, Heath, and David.
Heath, David, and Dan. Or is it Keith?
Keith.
Heath and Keith, right? We got to get them on the show for this, so we can really pick their brains about.
They're also the team behind a lot of all of that later Nickelodeon shows like Drink and Josh and Good Burger the movie, which I noticed a very Good Burger moment from this episode.
I did as well. I'm sure we'll get into that.
Probably the same one. So, Okay, first, your Dan Carlin style intro.
If you haven't picked up on it over the past 13 episodes of Season 1, we can say fairly confidently that human beings are an odd bunch of creatures. We're conscious, creative, and intelligent primates who usually display more fumbling bruteness than philosophical charm. We want so desperately, or at least as Plato would describe it, to leave the desolate material world and enter into our truer spiritual reality, the world of the forms. We have an innate longing for the limitless, an allure to the unknown mysteries of our universe. But we still have to eat and defecate and find mates. Some would say we are trapped by our physical bodies. We are surely an odd and interesting species. Throughout this first season, we've discussed the things that make us so odd and interesting and unique among the animal kingdom. From a system of legally judging each other's actions, to technological advancements that have changed the world, to the unbreakable human fixation on precious gems, to stores where we exchange imaginary currency for food, all the way to organized crime and the systems that keep it around. The through line in all of this is our love for telling stories that relate to our lives. Nothing beats a good human story. But there's something else human beings do that no other animal on planet Earth does. In fact, it has to do with the other animals. We have pets. See, we're so smart that we know we can outsmart these other creatures, so we capture them and keep them, wild animals, inside of our houses to bring us joy or companionship or what have you. Throughout the millennia, we've domesticated wolves and tigers, dragons and serpents, field mice and feral pigs. Charles Darwin was quick to point out how odd all of this was, and how human beings were undoubtedly changing the natural selection of evolution. Regardless of your affiliation with animal domestication, it's safe to say that owning a pet comes with a great deal of responsibility. Well, as Kenan Rockmore develops into a responsible young man, he's tasked with taking care of his father's most prized possession, his decade-old Twizzles of the species Cockatoo sulphura, the yellow-crested cockatoo. Let's just say Twizzles may not be viewing this last episode of Season 1 from the material world indeed. Kenan may have accelerated his entry into the world of the forms.
Great. Let's follow up Coolio and take a look at Kenan and Kel with the big red curtain behind them. Their outfits are not the craziest ones we've seen all season.
No, they look pretty normal. They look like they're going to school almost.
Except Kel's got a vest on.
Yeah, the vest is a little funky. Looks like it should go on in tuxedo, and it's wearing it with a short sleeve button-down shirt. A bowling shirt, almost. A gold bowling shirt.
They start off with Kel wanting to do something a little special for the audience. Not magic this time.
No, but singing.
Yes, he's gonna do a little number. Kenan gives him the spotlight, and he proceeds to sing.
He sings. So I'll give a little backstory here. Adam and my mom, she makes Italian food, right? So like it's like American Italian food, but it's family recipes, whatever. And when she's making it, she's got the oil going, but she's playing Italian music, and it's like the Pandora Italian station, and there's like 5 songs on it that repeat over and over. So whenever it starts, we always joke like, "Oh, it's number 1," or "Oh, it's number 4," and I think this one, Adam, is actually number 5.
Yes, La Donna Mobile.
You would know it if you heard it.
Yeah, it's the pizza. If you look up Italian pizza song, you'll find this one.
And Kel is bellowing it. He's belting it out.
It's funny because I forgot this line. After he says, "Can't do something special for the audience," and Kenan says, "You're gonna talk about that thing where you eat spaghetti with your toes, are you?"
Yeah, because the spaghetti your toe fungus or whatever gets up in the spaghetti. Really good image, very, very vibrant image to start the episode. So, yep.
Yeah. So Kel does this phenomenal singing. You might even look at it and say that, wow, this sounds like recorded music. It's so powerful.
It's so powerful that Kenan just has to see if somebody is behind the stage, behind the curtain, singing for Kel.
Turns out there is, in an allusion to Singing in the Rain, if you remember that that classic Technicolor picture.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and the guy singing looks like if Dan Schneider wore a wig and put a fake beard on. It's kind of
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's Dan Schneider. He's got some eyebrows too.
Yeah, the fake beard threw me off. I was really concerned.
Yeah, he was Dan Schneider sized, and he does not. It's funny because he is also probably not singing. This is
we got a lip sync of a lip sync. Actually, it wasn't even that good, so it could have been.
Yeah, it's Luciano Pavarotti. Does the famous version of this one.
This is not him.
Not him at all. After revealing his ruse, Kenan shuffles off stage, leading Kel to shout that, getting into trouble has affected my mental stability and my bladder. Which got me thinking a little bit about his mental stability. It's no secret that Kel gets stupider as the show goes on.
That's true.
Yeah, do you think it's an adverse effect of all the trouble?
I mean, trouble,
all the stress.
Trouble and trauma both start with the same 2 letters. I think I don't know if this show would make it nowadays because just of the angst that Kenan puts Kel under in a lot of situations, but then vice versa.
Oh yeah, they're definitely a negative relationship feeding off each other.
Oh yeah, It's they are best friends, but they are also each other's worst enemies.
Agreed. All right, so we go start off in the Rockmore household.
Yes, one of our favorite locations to begin an episode.
It is a weekend morning, and Kenan, what's he up to?
Kenan is trying to pick a channel. So he is flipping through. He's wearing his pajamas, of course, with his slippers. He's flipping through. He says educational programming, says no to that. He sees puppets. He says no. He sees aerobics and he tries it out, and then he does a little crunch and then a stretch, and he kind of hurts his latissimus dorsi. And then Kel enters with a breakfast platter.
Yes, a whole bunch of stuff. He's got muffins, bananas, donuts, Cole and bran flakes, and a 2-liter of orange soda.
Everything you can need for a nutritious breakfast. The breakfast of champions.
Yeah, that's a well-balanced breakfast.
Yeah, the most important meal of the day. Kel is actually not wearing a hat in this scene.
For one of the rare occasions.
Yeah, he looks handsome.
Yeah, I don't know why to... It's a good staple, I guess. But yeah, no, he... as you may have guessed, he pours himself a bowl of cereal
Cole
and
and bran.
adds orange soda to it.
Now, Adam, I want you to notice that Kel poured the cereal in first and then the orange soda.
Yeah, okay. Some people like their cereal just sopping wet.
99.99% of the human population puts their cereal in first and then the milk. But
I know I'm not alone.
But Adam puts the milk in first and then the cereal.
Yeah, because I don't want too much milk. I just want a little bit.
You know why they called them serial killers, right? It's because that's how they're identified.
That's how they eat it.
That's how they eat it. That's where the term came from.
Yeah. Kenan chides Kel for putting in orange soda.
Chide,
and Kel says,
nice word.
Yeah, thanks. He says, that's just because people don't understand orange soda the way I do.
That's just because nobody understands things the way you do, as the response.
Yeah, it's a good burn. And I like that we talk about Kel and orange soda without him doing the whole jingle. It's nice to see that it's still, like, it's there, but it's quiet.
It's a part of his character.
Yeah, I think we're going to lose that pretty soon for the future seasons.
Yeah. Already, though, in this episode, we see a really good back and forth between Kenan and Kel. And it's really fun.
It's a really good just reset of the status quo. Like, I'm sure in the script it wasn't all that stuff that Kenan was doing with the TV. It was all improv until Kel came over.
Yeah, I would imagine it. He's probably trying to make the audience laugh.
Yeah, there's a lot of just real showmanship like that. I paid attention to Kenan in this episode, and really, he knows what he's doing, for sure.
I feel like they let the audience down a few times this season. And so that was probably kind of fresh in their mind. Like, okay, I really don't like that feeling, so might as well at least make it, try to make it funny when the script isn't that funny. I feel like that was kind of coming up.
Yeah, so now when the script's funny too, it's just it's nonstop jokes.
Exactly, and it's good, really good stuff.
So Kenan's parents are getting their suitcases ready because they are driving out to the country for the weekend.
Of course, Kel is wondering which country they're going to.
France?
Yeah. And then Mrs. Rockmore is basically like, Kel, how on earth would we ever drive to France? And Kel responds,
I don't know, you got the map.
I just like, again, this just fast-paced, like back and forth, really funny, lighthearted stuff. Classic Kenan and Kel.
So they established early that Kyra is staying at their grandmother's house. So it's up to him to take care of that house for the weekend. I'm glad that even though Kyra wasn't in this episode, she got a shout out.
Yeah, they're keeping the whole family unit together.
Yeah, or when they're apart, they let you know where everyone is.
Yeah, that's good. We like to, so we don't have to. So Adam and I don't have to, be guessing.
Where's
out
Kyra?
Here. Yeah, we don't need to play these games with all of our main characters.
Yeah. So what's really funny is that Kenan. So Kel, to in a counterpoint to Kenan saying that they're responsible, does a bit where he's looking through donuts.
Yeah,
waving over his eyes as glasses. Not really funny, but straight from Good Burger, right?
Yep.
Like a few months later, these guys go on to write Good Burger, and the Grape Nose Boy routine is pretty much identical to Kel's Donut Boy routine.
Very similar. Yep, just two funny shaped food items that can be instantly made funny because Kel is a funny guy. The slapstick nature of putting two donuts over your face. It's like, it's not that funny, but Kel made it funny.
Yeah. So Kenan's dad has a responsibility for Kenan. What is that?
It is his... it's his cockatoo named Twizzles.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he has a green bird cage with a big old cockatoo inside of it.
Yeah, so it's a white bird with a little yellow... what do you call that on a bird?
Crest.
Crest?
I think it's a crest.
Okay, so it's got a yellow crest. I should know bird anatomy because I'll be teaching biology, but I'm not quite at that lesson yet.
Cockatoos are very smart, intelligent pets. I learned a few things about them for later in the show.
I can't wait.
Yeah. So he has a very, very detailed list about how to feed and take care of this bird while they're gone.
Just to exaggerate how long the list is, it's on like a piece of paper that must be like 20 inches long, and
it looks like a CVS receipt.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's good. So yeah, and then on the list is, you gotta feed it. You gotta one thing is you gotta sing to it, and Kenan's like, I gotta sing to it. And Mr. Rockmore responds, he's like, this singing is very important to a bird.
Yeah, so he lists all the stuff, asks if he has any questions. Kenan's like, what kind of barbecue sauce should I put on him?
And then Mr. Rockmore gets
very upset about that.
Yeah, unnerved.
I love Mr. Rockmore is talking to Twizzles' voice. Because he's very like,
yeah. Like, oh, buddy. Yeah, it's like a anybody talks to their pet. It's like very oh, how are you doing?
So he reluctantly passes the bird alongside to Kenan to hopefully that his son will take care of him.
Yeah, Kenan says it's his number one priority to kind of ease his nerves.
Yep. So as he's leaving, Kel does his donut boy routine again, and Roger says one of my favorite lines of his, like, so maybe of the season. He says, "Maybe someday they'll find a cure."
That was a really good line. I was cracking up at that.
Yeah.
That was good.
So their parents leave, and they shut the door, lock it behind them, and they start reflecting to themselves.
He goes, I think Kenan says, they're reciting the lyrics of just the two of us.
Just the two of us. Yeah, it's a neat mention. So we transition to later.
Later in the day, they're no longer in their pajamas, but something they are in are 2 cartons of ice cream.
Yes. Not to mention the house is totally trashed. There's just
so trashed.
Food all over the place.
There's a book on the tray table. I don't know how that got
I think there's a pizza box on the couch too. Just you can see a whole like day of nonstop munching on food is there. Do you see the brand of ice cream that they have?
Oh no, I didn't.
So the ice cream carton says, "Oh, Beast Farm ice cream."
Oh my. Oh my. That's no probably wouldn't fly in 2020.
Yeah, probably not. But you know, hey, it's
a good little gag there. We like that.
And you probably wouldn't be able to see it, but you know they make all the dumb like fake brands and stuff on this stuff. But yeah, so they're eating so much ice cream that they cannot get up from their seats.
Yep. Kenan's very much in pain, grimacing, and Kel goes. He says he never wants to eat ice cream again. Kenan is reminded of his responsibilities, so he says, I think this is exactly how he says it. Time to feed my daddy bird. Maybe that's a little Kenan out of context, but that's what I got. Those are the words that he said.
So they go over to the bird cage, and as Kel says, I didn't know birds sleep on their backs.
It's very clear that something horrible has happened to Twizzles, but it takes them a moment to figure it out.
Yeah. They slowly come to the realization. Kel says, "Ooh, I think he's..." And then Kenan just explodes at him. He's like, "No.
It can't be.
My dad's had this bird for 10 years.
Which is a remarkable statistic.
Well, you would think so. However...
Oh, no.
I have a couple things that I want to talk about cockatoos at this moment. And as an obituary, yellow-crested cockatoos, as depicted in this episode, live in captivity up to 70 years sometimes.
What?
In the wild, they live, somewhere in the family of 40 years.
70 years?
Parrots and birds as pets, they could be old-timers. Absolutely.
I'm speechless. That is a remarkable statistic.
So, I do not think Twizzles died from natural causes. My only guess could be it was based off the specific diet that a lot of nutritional people say that you should not just feed your bird seeds. They say they should have every day your cockatoo should have a mix of it's something crazy 2 to 3 fruits or vegetables, and it's very varied.
Wow.
So Kenan's dad Twizzles must have been on a very, very specific diet.
Yes, a very specific diet that Twizzles did not get. Definitely didn't get at least one meal throughout the day, maybe 2. But even so,
it's one day. It's like morning to night.
What kind of frail bird was Twizzles in the first place?
Yeah, it's that's a little crazy. So there's a later episode of Kenan Kel where they do some house sitting for Chris, and they get into trouble because they wait a week before remembering that they're supposed to be over there.
You think they would learn their lesson?
Yeah, right. From what happened here. But no, I think the time frame is a little crazy. That in one day this bird has died.
Yeah, that's. Anyways, it's very funny. If you're looking for a good episode, this is it. Like we have a grave problem that they brought upon themselves.
Kenan's reaction to the death of Twizzles is amazing.
Yeah, he is in disbelief.
He goes through all the stages of grief, right?
That's absolutely. Kubler-Ross. Yeah, this is all of.
What are those 5 stages?
All
of
right,
grief?
so the first one is denial. The second one is.
Okay. Yep. No, he says. We start with that.
I think the second one is bargaining. Oh, maybe anger comes first.
Anger. Yeah,
Anger comes
really,
first.
He's furious at Kel because he's like, my dad's had this bird for 10 years. Don't say that.
Yeah. Then there's bargaining.
Where is that when he takes out the bird and does mouth to beak resuscitation?
I was crying when this happened. He pulls the bird out and he is mouth to beak resuscitation. It's a great Kenan moment. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
So that could be bargaining. Yeah.
4 is depression.
The forced depression, which so definitely happens.
Yeah, that's him shaking in the chair and Kel consoling him. He's saying, "Let it all out," and he shouts, "Why?"
Yeah. Oh. And so the last phase of death and dying is acceptance. Now, I don't think we really come to a place where they just accept that the bird died and they're going to tell Mr. Rockmore the truth.
Well, they accept the first part of that. They're like, the bird is dead.
Of course.
And then they realize that, oh no, Kenan's basically like, oh no, I have to leave.
Kenan's like, there's no way I can remain in this house. My father is going to actually kill me.
So he runs upstairs and we cut to Kenan's room. And this is another really great just little improv scene from Kenan because
it's really funny.
Yeah, he pulls out his briefcase, which you see what the interior color of his briefcase was?
No, what was it?
It was green.
Oh, God.
So he's got like these purple walls and this green briefcase. It's just
he's got no color pattern here.
Yeah, but the first thing he says that when he opens up, he says, "Ha! It works." Then he starts shoving absolutely everything in there.
His clothes from the closet. There's this funny moment where he takes a beautiful woman that's postered onto his closet door, and he says, he's like, "You're going with me."
He's like, "Come on, girl, you're coming with me."
Yeah.
And so you're just shoving it all in there. Kel arrives and asks him where he's going, and he says, "California, Wisconsin, Jupiter, Japan."
Yep. And Kel says, "You can't run to Japan." He says, "I have to try."
That's a Dan Schneiderism.
That's
straight
so
out of
funny.
Josh, you know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But it was so funny.
Yeah.
Oh, I was cracking up.
Yeah, so they start to work out a plan. And yeah, Kel says, "Why are you so worried your parents don't come back until tomorrow night?"
And then we receive a call on the telephone, reminiscent to dial O for oops.
2 things. First, Kenan says that, well, if I start running now, I can be good 36 miles from home by the time they get here, which is not super fast, if you ask me.
No, I don't know what his... I mean, he's gonna actually run? Like, is he gonna pick up his suitcase and run through the night?
That's a rate of 1.5 miles per hour. So
good algebra there, Adam.
Thank you. Yeah, no, they receive a call. It's his parents, and yeah. But my second point is that this is a different phone than dial O for oops.
It is because it doesn't have a cord.
Yeah, that was the maroon with a cord. This one's a digital one. I think for a gag that's coming up in a moment.
Absolutely. Yeah. So basically, Kel is answering the phone. Mrs. Rockmore is asking where Kenan is. Kel says he had to go get some underpants. And Mr. and Mrs. Rockmore don't buy it. So Mr. Rockmore goes on the phone and is asking for Kenan.
I think it's fun, the little set that they're on.
Yeah, it is. It's good. It's like a little payphone.
Well, it's definitely a piece of the era because, like, when they used to travel, they didn't have cell phones. They couldn't always check in. They had to stop at a payphone to, like, call Kenan up, check in on him. It's definitely a 90s episode with the bedroom colors, the payphone, and the flipping through channels.
And the shirt Kel's wearing, which is
of course.
It's a red shirt, and it's got I can't even describe it. It's got like all this geometry on the collars. It's remarkable, I might say.
Yeah. So Kenan's dad doesn't fall for the underwear bits. So Kenan's forced to get on the phone, and he says, "Hey, hello, Daddy. I love you." It just keeps.
And he says, "I love you too, son. How's Twizzles?" Then he goes, "I love you."
Oh, he's very peaceful.
And of course, Mr. Rockmore wants to hear Twizzles on the phone.
Yeah. This episode reminds me of two Drake and Josh's.
Yeah. Yep.
The phone conversation is straight out of the one where they're babysitting.
Oh yeah. That's the one. That's yeah exactly.
And the killing the pet accidentally. I think they do that to Megan at one point with her hamster.
Or her. Is it her virtual one? No.
No. I think you're thinking of
a different one. No.
Yeah.
I haven't been keeping up on my Drake and Josh. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
I've been strictly Kenan and Kel.
Kenan can't whistle because he was too nervous, so Kel whistles, and at first a bus passes, and then Kenan, the classic, pretending that there's static on the phone.
Yeah, he's a. And he says, "There's a bad connection. I can't hear you." And then he goes over and he drops the phone into the fishbowl.
Yeah.
And the audience gasps. Like, they don't laugh. They gasp.
To end the call, he instead of hanging up, he puts it in the bowl. So kills 2 pets this episode.
Yes. But the audience is like befuddled that he could possibly drop a phone in the fishbowl.
Yeah.
I thought that was really funny. It's their reaction.
So Kenan formulates a plan.
He is basically going to replace Twizzles.
Yes, with a lookalike cockatoo.
And he says, Kenan says, if this doesn't work, you and I are going to have a lot in common with Twizzles.
But Twizzles is dead.
Kenan says, "Okay, now put it all together for me."
Yeah, and Kel pauses for a minute, then they both look at each other and rush out the door.
Yeah, really good Kenan and Kel scene, I might say.
So we cut to commercial. The next day, we start up in the pet store.
Yep. They walk in and instantly are taken aback by the smell.
Which that's a really just human moment.
Yeah. It's like,
we've all had that happen going into the pet store.
Yeah, you're like, why am I walking into this box of poop?
Yeah, it's also like the next day, right? It was nighttime when they were eating the ice cream and getting a call, right?
Yeah, they were. Yeah, the time frame is a little weird, but we got it.
Yeah, they ran out of the room in excitement, but the next day they run into the pet store. So yeah, there's a sign in the middle and a display case in the middle of the pet store called that says "Danger, Boa Constrictor."
And Kel's very convinced that he can talk to the snake.
He has a great line. He says, "Hi, snake. I'm a human." Then goes, he's trying to speak to him by like sticking his tongue out. It's good.
Wait, are boa constrictors pets? I mean, I should know because I did the history of domesticating animals for the intro, but
not in a lot of city districts. I didn't check Chicago specifically. This is also, according to my co-host for the other podcast I do, Finding Monster Rights. This is a Burmese python.
Not a boa constrictor.
Not a boa constrictor.
Yeah.
A lot friendlier. However, they're still very powerful and shouldn't be on like 15-year-olds for gags and on TV.
On TV. Yeah, well, basically, Kenan is walking over, looking at the birds, and then one of the employees comes over and says, "Hi, welcome to Pet This," which is the name of the store. And they turn to Kel, and Kel has the boa constrictor wrapped around his neck.
Yeah. He's squeezing his uvula.
Yeah. Whatever. Another Dan Schneider line.
Yeah, so she quickly helps him take off the snake, and I like this pet store lady.
I'm sorry, it wasn't that quick. It was a good. The snake gag lasted for at least 15 seconds, which is a long time to have a snake wrapped around your neck.
Yeah, she takes him off and then pets the snake, which is very funny.
Yep.
In the case, but yes, they Kenan asks if they have a cockatoo, and she replies,
"I do have a cockatoo, or two."
Which Kel loves very much. And and Kenan just kind of wants to get over with, and so he's like, I need one that looks like this, and in his shoebox he reveals that he has the dead cockatoo with him.
The dead Twizzles.
Dead Twizzles.
Twizzles no more.
He seemed like waving the box back and forth, trying to get rid of the smell. From the day-old cockatoo. Again, it's a weird time frame we're working with here.
Oh, let's just roll with it. Roll with it. Time frame's not as important.
So she realized, she points out a bird that's the identical to Twizzles.
Yeah, this bird has a yellow breast.
To which Kel laughs. Breast.
Which is just great. It's like, yes, he is a 15-year-old boy.
Yeah, that was the most real line, I think, the whole episode.
You're so right.
How rare are yellow-breasted cockatoos?
A yellow-breasted cockatoo is every... I don't want to phrase it. I want to phrase it right. Well, Adam, only 1 in 1,000 cockatoos are yellow-breasted.
Wow, this must be the only one like that in Chicago.
There is not another one like it in all of Chicago.
Yes. So they inquire to the price, and this is an expensive bird.
$95.
Ooh, boy. So there's one. It's pricey for a pet back then and now too. We're talking like almost 200 now.
For a bird, yeah, that's pricey.
Yeah. So Kel suggests that they trade in the dead one to get a discount.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
That's funny. And then they're basically just like in disbelief. They don't have that kind of money. So they say, I think is it Kel that says?
Yeah, he says it.
Yeah, what idiot is going to lend us $95? Cut to Rigby's.
Smash cut to Rigby's. Chris counting out dollar bills
92,
out of the register.
93, 94, 95.
Yeah, there's not a lot of Chris this episode, but I think he does. They know who he is.
Yeah, no, it was just really, really funny. Anyways, Kenan and Kel are basically like, thanks. And then Chris is like, hey, can you clean up some stuff in the back for me? And he's like, oh, I'm not working today. Chris is like, I just lent you $95. Like, you can't help me out. He's like, bye.
Yeah, Kel gives like a peace sign.
Yeah, they run out.
The important part about this is that they leave behind the box of Twizzles.
Some might say the evidence.
Yes, of their crime. And Chris, who dumb enough to lend Kenan and Kel $95, is also dumb enough to just, oh no, there's a dead bird here. I'm gonna leave it here.
Leaves it there, waiting for Kenan to come back all day.
Yeah. So it's not going good. But they have purchased the bird, and they return to the Rockmore's house. It is about 1 p.m.
Dun dun dun. This episode on Chicago's Most Wanted. No. Kel basically says to Kenan, I can't just believe we spent $95 on a bird, which is it's a ridiculous statement. But yeah, that's exactly
Absolutely.
what they did.
So they have to transfer Twizzles from the cage that they had to the cage that they have.
But yeah, Kel can't. He's trying to open it up, but Kel can't get the door open. So Kenan offers to try it out.
Yep. Kenan gets out his little tools and stuff like that, and meanwhile, Kel in the background is saying some sweet nothings to Twizzles.
Kel is basically takes the cage over to the bed and is just talking to Twizzles. Like, oh, hello, you're so cute. Aren't you cute?
You're a pretty bird. Twizzles, flies over to the windowsill.
Yeah, because Kel is stupid enough to open the cage door.
Yeah, so the cage door's open, the window's open, and there was some amazing training of this bird. Like I said, cockatoo are very smart, but this, I'm not sure if this was planned or intentional, but because there's a moment where it lands on the windowsill first, and Kel freezes, Then he reaches out and it flies out the window. So it's just
Yeah.
it would be like if it was animated, it would not be better. You would not be able to do better than this bird is doing.
No, it was just this moment when this happened, I was just cracking up, like hysterical, because exactly that's what's gonna happen. You know, as soon as the bird leaves his hands, you see the shocked look on Kel's face and like the you know, and then he's trying to make up for it, so he just.
This is the same. It's the same situation as in Mo Sweater Blues.
Yep.
He drops the pizza on the sweater. Kenan's in the foreground. He's not aware of it yet, and you just see Kel do everything he can. His reaction is to leave, and he can't.
He's trying to hide. He's trying to run away. He's trying to hide. He's trying to go in the closet. He breaks the doorknob. He's trying to go under the bed. He can't fit. He's trying to fit in the hamper. And he is just like in disbelief. Like it's a classic Kel moment.
Yeah. He tries closing the suitcase on him. He jumps into the filing cabinet.
Oh, it's just it's just nonstop. Like really funny moment. And yeah, then Kel basically just grabs his hat and stands in front of the dresser and covers his face and starts crying.
Yep. Kenan fixes the door, turns around, and sees Kel crying with his hat over his face and pointing at the window.
And Kenan says, "Kel, the $95 bird flew out the window, didn't it?"
Yep. And Kenan looks really mad in this scene,
Like,
so it's really
just fuming, just like his father.
yeah. He's got a real Roger moment right now. They return to the downstairs where they are sitting upset, dejected on the couch.
Yeah, I must say, just to finish up on that last scene in Kenan's room, the dynamic here is really good because Kenan knows what's happening in the background, but he's fixing the cage the whole time, and it's like that's what makes the scene so funny. It's not just because Kel's doing the stuff, but it's because you see Kenan just like playing around, not noticing what's going on behind him, and it's just like really funny.
Yeah, you're just as stressed out as Kel.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's two things to laugh at. One is how little Kenan knows, and two is how incredible Kel's reaction is.
we walk down the steps, and they're on the couch.
Kel, beside him, I'd like to note, 2 more bottles of orange soda. I believe he's upset, and he is sadly drinking.
He's self-medicating.
But yeah, so they talk about how, oh, man, there's no other bird like that in Chicago. And suddenly, the bird flies in through the open window and lands on the table in front of them.
It's like they prayed a Hail Mary to God, and God provided. There's the bird that they just said they would never find again. It's almost too good to be true.
Yeah, it makes sense, too, because it didn't fly too far.
Right.
This is a domestic bird, but it hung out, maybe flew low. Wow.
It flew low, and they are both reaching out to grab it, and then the phone rings, and the bird flies right out the window again.
Yeah, so they, Kenan angrily shouts in the phone, "What?" and realizes his parents. And, they're not coming back at 7, they're coming back at 6.
So now Kenan has only 5 hours until doomsday.
Yep. Yeah, and then they're in big trouble.
And Kenan responds by hearing that they're coming home at 6. He says, "Great, that's fine news."
And his dad's like, "Say hello to Twizzles," and he's like, "I'm with the Twizzles." Again, really joshing it up.
Yep. So his mom gives him a little grocery list to pick up some stuff.
Yeah.
So milk, ointment, eggs, Colon brand, which gets the audience to chuckle a little bit. Paper towels and bagels.
Yep. She knew they would go through all the Colon brand they already had.
Somehow.
Yeah. Well, I think you can see the box behind them on the couch.
You can. It's a very good.
Yeah.
If this was a real brand, it would be really good product placement.
Yes. It's not.
Oh, you don't say.
Yeah. If there was a Colon brand, I'm sure you own it, right?
I don't think that doesn't qualify as a health food or a cereal or a healthy cereal. I don't think they could I don't think they could sell a food with the first word being colon. Large intestine fiber. That's like what it is.
Yeah. So Kenan has a new plan, which involved going to the pantry. And what do they pull out?
Birdseed.
Yep, 2 enormous, like 10-pound bags of birdseed.
Those are like 20-pound bags, Adam.
Oh, yeah. So they spread 40 pounds of birdseed everywhere.
Everywhere. I'm saying everywhere. Like all over the kitchen, all over the kitchen table, all over the couch, all over
up
like
the stairs,
everywhere.
And the plan is to open up all the windows and lure Twizzles 2 into the room.
Now, if you're like our sister Rachel, you would be watching this and get incredibly anxious at what's unfolding because it's just a mess. Like the house is already in shambles, and now there's literally birdseed just all over the place.
The mess is already the biggest mess they've ever made.
Yes, no, it is quite. Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah. So they so as they do that, Kenan tasks Kel with opening the windows as he runs to Rigby's to get these groceries.
Yeah, he says, go open all the windows and doors and then clean this place up. And Kel's like, what? But then Kel yells, here, birdie, 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 and we switch to the next scene.
Yep, which is very quick scene. Kenan rushing into Rigby's and grabbing the 5 things that he needs. And he just like the Flash swings in here, grabs the cart, grabs a little basket, and just picks it all up. And doesn't pay Chris.
Nope. So we're probably racking up some debt here.
And I know exactly
episode.
what he took too. So tune in next week for our end of season recap when I go through all the funds that they've ferreted out of Chris.
All the funds. So anyways, this scene's really short. It almost doesn't belong in this episode because it's so like...
It's to remind you of a couple things.
It's to remind you of a couple things. One of the things is as Kenan's running out, Chris is like, wait, you left your box here? Or your bird here, and
he opens it, shows him the bird, and there's a guy that's currently shopping there, right?
Yeah, and he's about to check out. He sees the bird, and he pretty much like freaks out.
Yeah, he freaks out and probably runs out of the store. So again, this is clearly impeding on Chris's business. I don't know why he insists on having this bird out.
But anyways, we'll get back to that in one moment. So
this is probably why we left, so that we could have Kenan returning to the house. And what does he see?
True. Well, Adam, there are a few birds in their house.
20 birds by my count.
And I'm not talking just like little bird, like robins or cardinals. Like there are chickens.
There's pigeons, chickens, doves,
ducks.
Like
there's a duck.
Yeah, they're all over the place. And my favorite Kel line of the episode, which is Kenan comes in, he shouts, "Kel!" And Kel says, "I don't know!" As he's holding a chicken.
Oh, it's so funny.
And a really good follow-up line, which is, "Hey Kenan, do you know all different types of bird seeds?"
Just as if this episode could have gotten worse for these two.
Yeah, and you see, Kel's also, he makes a weird choice here. You see him like bobbing his head almost like a chicken, like the birds have driven him insane.
Look, he's becoming one.
Yeah. So they begin to panic because the house is filled with birds.
Well, they should panic.
Yeah,
they should be panicking.
I think so. I feel like Rigby's is about like 15 minutes from their house, from the Rockmores.
Yeah, I would imagine. So
Kenan returns at like 1:30, and probably around 3:30, maybe about 3:45, his parents arrive at Rigby's to pick up, what is it?
What are they picking up? I don't know.
No salt, tomato juice.
For some reason, undisclosed.
This actually makes a lot of sense to me because they, in the olden days, when they just called them, they could only call them so many times. They couldn't send Kenan a text
right.
or an email. So they're like, hey, we forgot to tell them to get the tomato juice. Let's just pick it up.
Yeah. That makes sense. Good point. Anyways, they walk into Rigby's, and it's funny. Mrs. Rockmore says, "Oh, it's good to be home." It's like they were gone for, a day trip. But
they were gone for the weekend, and as we learned, it was like a day and a half.
Yeah. Anyways, it's okay. We love these two. So she's going over. Chris is helping her out with the tomato juice. They're very friendly because, of course, they're good friends. Chris was over at their house on Christmas and everything.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Rockmore walks over to the counter of Rigby's. A counter, which we've already said, what's on it a few times this episode.
A box. He opens up the box and discovers that it's, as he would put it, Twizzles.
That's great. Well done.
Thanks. He skips right over a bunch of stages of grief.
Straight to anger.
Wait, I think he goes backwards through them. Because he's first very upset. There's some depression. And, the bargain must happen off screen, because back at the Rockmore's household, we see what's the scene before us?
Well, Kenan and Kel are trying to clean up the mess.
I think the word is pandemonium.
Pandemonium's good. There are birds everywhere. Still, hours later.
They've been at this for 3 hours.
That's a good nice job with catching the times.
Yeah, there's 3-4 hours of them just panicking, and there's a really great moment that it's like blink and you miss it, but Kel, literally behind him, he has a bird like on his hat. Like you see him like holding the bird there, and it's like flapping its wing, and it flies off. It's not like a prop or anything like that.
Right, it like actually happened.
So, might not be nice to the bird. But I'm curious how they pulled this off in like the studio.
Yeah, what's really funny though is they clip back to this pandemonium, and the Twizzles lookalike flies onto the table again, and Kenan sees it and grabs it.
Yeah, and he's got him. Problem solved.
And he's like, "Oh yes, this is great. Like we finally have the bird. Everything's gonna. Nobody's gonna be. He's not gonna know. They're just gonna think we threw a party.
They can undo all their trouble.
Exactly.
All of a sudden, the door slams open.
Oh,
and Mr. Rockmore walks in.
He is furious.
Yeah, he's like steaming, and Kenan's reaction. Ooh.
Because the house is still a mess.
The house is a mess, and there's birds everywhere.
Everywhere.
What's Kel's excuse?
They threw a party.
They threw a party for Twizzles.
For Twizzles.
All his bird friends in the neighborhood. And Mr. Rockmore, what does he do?
He holds up the box with Twizzles in it.
Yep, he holds up the Twizzles body, and they... that's the end.
They say, party's over, bye, and they run away.
Yep.
And they just leave the mess to their parents.
It just ramps up and up and up and boom.
This is such a good episode, such a funny episode, so much fun.
And that follows the classic formula of Kenan gets him into a situation, Kel makes it worse.
Yep, and then we escalate, get some laughs along the way, fast paced, and we have a lot of fun. That's what happened.
Yep. Back out on a stage, Kel, it's funny because they do like a little episode of our podcast out on stage, if you notice.
That's true. That's exactly what happens.
Because Kenan's like, everything's fine. And Kel's like, no, it's not. And he lists the things. Like, we owe Chris $95. Twizzles is deceased. And you've got your dad's furious, and you've got 2,000 strange birds in your living room. Kel's recapping all that stuff, and it's Kenan's like, well, all that stuff's your fault.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it's Kenan Kel with Kenan Kel, and they talk about the blame a little bit. That it's Kel's fault because he let the bird fly out the window, and Kel's like, I couldn't fly after him. People can't fly.
And then Kenan goes, and you could tell he's getting some ideas. And he comes to the conclusion that, well, really all you need to fly is some feathers, a ceiling fan, scissors, and possum fat.
Where do you get possum fat?
A fat possum.
So I have an idea of how this plan would work. Do you? with these items?
Well, the scissors would probably cut the fat off the possum. The feathers would be taped or adhered to the ceiling fan, and then the fat would probably be burned to fuel the fan that would then take flight. Am I correct?
Mine's a little more like Toy Story logic. How, okay, the ceiling fan's spinning.
I'm using straight thermodynamics here.
Yeah. The ceiling fan's spinning, and maybe there's like a rope or something tied from the fan to the person. And the person has possum fat adhering the feathers to them. Then all you need to do is cut the string, and you're flying.
I suppose you're right.
Little centrifugal force, if you want to get into physics.
Oh, well, there we are. We're already in the weeds here, so might as well.
Yeah, so Kenan instructs Kel to grab a couple things and meet him at a place for not the first time, but the first time in many, many to come.
And Kel says, "But Kenan, I don't want to fly, especially not off a cliff. I'm happy right here on the ground. How am I supposed to carry 53 ducks?" Which was something else Kenan mentioned.
Yeah, he said grab 53 ducks and some glue and meet me at Dead Man's Cliff.
And then Kel, of course, says those lines and says, "Aw, here it goes."
So I have a question for you.
Let's
How many
see.
ducks do you think it takes to lift 150 pounds, let's say?
Probably like 25.
The correct answer is 300. I was looking to see if anyone did any math on that, and yeah, apparently a duck can like carry up to a quarter of its weight.
Oh my god.
So they needed a lot more ducks than 53.
I was using ant mathematics.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the episode. So building off of Kenan Kel's own
Debrief.
discussion, whose fault do you think it is?
This is Kenan's fault. And then Kel makes it worse.
So is that a 50-50?
No, I would say this is Kenan's fault because he didn't feed the bird. That was his responsibility.
Yes.
He was having Kel over because, his parents didn't want him to be alone, but it's his responsibility to feed the bird, and he did not.
Yeah. Also, Kenan's plan up to the purchase of the bird would have put the exact same things into motion, leaving the box of dead Twizzles in Rigby's.
Right.
So even if there wasn't the crazy bird party going on, and they had just the fake Twizzles, they would have still been in total trouble because of Kenan.
Right.
Yeah. So all Kenan's faults, and we'll review it in our finale. But I'm surprised by how often it's been Kenan's fault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's really to blame for a lot of these scenarios.
Well, he is the hero, right? And as the hero, he's also the anti-hero. And so he causes the problems that he then tries to fix and makes worse.
Yep. Yeah, we learned a thing about Mr. Rockmore this episode.
Yeah, Mr. Rockmore has a bird of 10 years.
Yeah, he raised the cockatoo for 10 years.
Yeah.
Which is very impressive. And we've never seen this bird before.
Nope.
Oh, I did want to say something else that was really funny, is that Twizzles was in the room with them. Like, they start off the day in the living room, and they put the cage in the foreground, and so Twizzles they were looking at him all day, and he died.
He didn't even make a peep. Maybe it was Twizzles' fault, because he didn't tell them that he was hungry.
Yeah, those birds are smart.
Yeah, anyways, it was, maybe it was Mr. Rockmore's fault. Maybe he was feeding the bird poorly.
Well, he trusted Kenan, and that was his mistake.
I mean, I don't think Mr. Rockmore is somebody who's just gonna, admit to blame, though. You know what I mean? I feel like he's very much placing blame on other people and then gets angry at them.
I see where you're coming from. Here's another question for you. What do you think the lesson is for kids after watching this episode? I think it's about lying, but it's also about, laziness.
I think definitely. It's about both. It's easier to be lazy and to lie. It's harder to be honest and to tell the truth and to do what you're supposed to do. It's very much like this is like a Jordan Peterson life lesson here. It's like
it's about responsibilities, and it's like Kenan Kel took all the reward without the responsibility.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
All right. Racked up a couple things for Rigby's. Kel was seen drinking 2 liters of orange soda this episode. So, a nice way to wrap that up. But from Rigby's, $95 and a handful of groceries. So, again, next episode, look out for the full count.
We'll get it to you, people. Don't worry.
Yeah. So let's talk about ratings. IMDb lists this episode as 26 out of 63 with a 7.6 rating. That's a high medium. That's in like the upper half, but not super high, which surprises me. What did you think of the episode as a whole?
I thought it was really, really well put together. The laugh, there were the right amount of laughs at the right times. Nothing felt really forced, except for the time frame was a little bit there, but besides that, nothing felt forced, and I'm okay with the time frame for this episode because the plot was so good.
You don't notice it until, like, that's me watching it, like, during the second view, I'm like, wait a second, what time is it?
Yeah. Well, anyways, well-rounded episode, really, really funny. My score for this episode is a 9.
A 9. Yep, very good.
Yeah, I was about to give it a 10, but I don't want to put it at the top. But it was a 9. Really, really good.
Yeah. So I took a little issue with the I'm not going to beat up for the time frame. It delivers exactly what it needs to. And it's a really well-made episode. My fault on it's just that it's not super fresh. The dead pet plots, that happens all the times in kids sitcoms and stuff like that.
Right.
It's old news. But I think they did a fair job with it. And there's actually, before I give you my rating, I would like to share a personal story about this particular episode. So, sometimes when I first see episodes, I'll say, like, oh, I remember this from when I was a kid. Or sometimes I'll remember it from when I watched it on my bootleg DVD box set I still have from high school. But this episode was first told to me orally.
What?
So I remember, like, when I was a kid, I was a fan of Kenan Kel, and one of my neighborhood friends, Rachel Chernaski, if you remember.
Oh yeah.
We would hang out in the summer and talk about TV, not just watch it. It wasn't streaming on demand. If you saw an episode on TV, you saw it.
Right.
So she had seen this episode of Kenan Kel before, and the first time I heard it was from her recapping it.
Oh wow, that's funny.
Going through scene by scene and like what happened in each one, and
that's such a millennial problem.
Yeah,
circumstance.
It's a really special memory to me. So
that's funny.
Yeah, it's a really good one. So I would just want to say that yeah, after saying that, it's an episode I like a lot. It's a personal meaning to me. I'm gonna give it an 8.5.
That's good.
So yeah, it's up there, and I like it a lot, and we definitely are in an upswing after last week.
Yeah, we're in a good place now.
So yeah, that's it for season 1 of Kenan Kel with
wow.
Adam and Aaron.
Wow, it feels like we just started back in April.
We did.
Yeah.
So
or whenever we launched in May. Yeah.
As we alluded to, next episode we're taking not a week off from Kenan Kel episodes, but we're going to do a season 1 recap
because that's what you need right now.
Yeah,
you need to know what we just talked about. We're going to summarize 14 hours for you in 1 hour.
Talking about Kenan and Kel. So
we're going to cover
our favorite episodes. Maybe correct some scores if there's any changes or opinions.
That may be the case. I might have to get rid of my 7s because that's a lazy score.
Well, I've got some games to play with you as well.
Okay. I'll have to think of something because I'm a host here too.
Yeah, we'll finally recap the accounting numbers.
Good.
So tune in next week for that nonsense.
All right, Fantas, it's been great. And we will say this for the last time in season 1 until the recap. Here it goes. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Kenan and Kel with Adam and Aaron. If you want to stay in touch, send us an email at KenanKelPodcast@gmail.com, or you can send us a voice message at anchor.fm/KenanKelPodcast. Our social media accounts are all at Kenan Kel Podcast. That's Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Thanks, everybody.